Thank you so much, Kyle Demond, for joining us on In the Game today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, great to have you. I would say I was so surprised with the weigh-in ahead of this co-main event. Joshua is coming in at 250. Could backfire, Kyle. I understand a lot of people are picking Joshua to win, but this is far from an easy fight. Wellen has lost only once, and he has never been stopped as a professional before. A dangerous fight later, it goes more to question if Anthony Joshua can be able to hold this. Cal, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a really, really tough fight for AJ. I think that one of the things that I felt quite positive about this week is that AJ hasn't really been speaking about the prospect of fighting Wilder. And I think that's because him and his team know that Otto Wellen isn't a guy that they're just using to keep ticking over. He's a really tough opponent. So beating him is a huge task on its own before you can even start to think about potentially fighting Deontay Wilder.
All right, let's see the weigh-in. I was a bit surprised. AJ's consistency. I did a bit of research for his weigh-ins for his previous fight. His consistent discipline over the years has maybe been overly undermined because almost a decade. And his dedication hasn't wavered at all. You could see against Vladimir Klitschko, he came at 250 pounds. Carlos Takam, 254, just 4 pounds extra. Joseph Parker, he came at 242. His lowest has been against Andy Ruiz in the rematch at 237. Now you can see that consistency here in his way in ahead of his bouts. But he has never been involved in a controversy outside the ring, nor has he tested positive for any banned substance. That is very rare for Anthony Joshua. Looking at the consistency here, Carl.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, if you look at what AJ's best attribute is his athleticism, right? He would probably be successful in whatever sport he had chosen to go into at a young age. It just so happened to be boxing. So it doesn't surprise me that he's that consistent with his weight. You know, he knows where he needs to be at in order to perform to his best. It's just whether we see a little bit of that old AJ that people always talk about, the guy that was putting people away within a few rounds. That is the big question, of course, as always with an Anthony Joshua fight.
All right, we'll get to see what Anthony gets to bring to the table today. A lot are having predictions already, a knockout or maybe a 7th round win. But how will Anthony Joshua approach this bout? Do you think he will get behind Wellen's jab, taking away all of his offensive shots to wear him down and see if the gap open for a stoppage? Kyle, do you think that is what will play out today on the 4 squared rope?
I think that if you were going to make the best case for AJ, you would say that he needs to be more aggressive, like the AJ of old. But I don't think that's a realistic thing at this point. We haven't seen that version of AJ in such a long time, right? He's far more concerned with trying to outbox people, and that got him into trouble a few times against Alexander Usyk, for example, who of course is a fantastic boxer. And I think Otto Wellen is a very underrated boxer as well. So I don't think that's the best way to beat him, but I do think that is the way he will try and beat him, is to outbox him and find those opportunities when they come. So I would expect this fight to go long, either to a decision or maybe a late finish if AJ can get it. I don't think there's a whole lot of concern from AJ that Wallen's going to be able to stop him, and necessarily that Wallen's going to win a points decision, because of course the fight they're trying to build towards is AJ and Deontay Wilder. So it'd be tough for Wallen to edge the scorecards. So I think that should give AJ a little bit of confidence and maybe a little bit less pressure on his shoulders, despite the fact that this Wilder fight is hanging in the balance, really.
Kyle, let's not go too far on, having so much confidence on Anthony Joshua. We must consider Otto Wellen. Otto Wellen is not exactly as aggressive. He isn't a very big puncher. I've seen a couple of his fights. Outside of being a southpaw with decent skills that he's got, he's kind of a one-speed fighter, whereas Anthony Joshua does not have more gears to get into Otto Wellen like that, Cal. So let's not have too much confidence. What do you think? One speed fighter up against one who is always struggling with a southpaw opponent.
Yeah, again, to go back to the whole AJ of old argument, I think that if we were seeing AJ put opponents away more consistently recently, you would be a lot more leaning towards him. But I don't know whether he can put Otto Wellen away because he doesn't show that same kind of aggression that he used to show. Otto Wellen is a very experienced guy. He's got a ton of confidence right now. You've seen it throughout the whole fight week. He isn't coming to make up the numbers. He truly believes that this is his fight to win, and he can go on to fight Deontay Wilder if that's the plan. Like, this is a huge opportunity for him, and he's been in these moments before. You mentioned the Tyson Fury fight, which a lot of people thought he should have won. They thought that cut that Fury got should have ended the fight. So yeah, like I said, tons of confidence, and he isn't going to show up and be a deer in the headlights, so to speak. He wants to get that win, and I think he has the skills to pull it off. This is a really, really tough fight.
Okay, let's see Deontay Wilder. For Deontay Wilder, I think he's got a tone of power, unlike Joshua, but his issue should be his feet. And it probably has always been. His feet has always been the problem. Anybody who knows who he has boxed before or who has boxed before can watch him from 30 seconds and see how often he's so flat, how he struggles to cut angles, move so well, move swiftly and all that. I saw his sparring and I said, I think Deontay Wilder is going to got problems with his feet against Joseph Parker, who has been a world champion before. Kyle, do you also share the same thought with me?
It's a difficult one because Wilder, I totally agree that is probably the weakest part of Wilder's game, but it's also what makes him so effective at knocking opponents out. He really plants his feet, and because of that, he's able to use all of his power. You would say Joseph Parker probably does hit hard, but he isn't the same kind of knockout puncher because he doesn't sit on his punches the way that Wilder does. He is a bit more of a technical, light on his feet boxer. But the thing with Wilder is he doesn't need to win every round to win the fight. He only needs to land that one shot. So, it has positives and negatives for him. Two very contrasting styles in this fight. The issue for Joseph Parker is he kind of needs to be perfect for the whole fight in order to win it. And Deontay Wilder only needs to land one punch to win it. And that is a dangerous prospect for anybody in the world. We've seen, Tyson Fury, the consensus best heavyweight in the world. He struggled with Wilder at some times. I don't think many people would have taken those shots that Fury did. So asking Joseph Parker to do the same thing Fury did is a huge ask.
Oh, a huge ask indeed. You must remember that Wilder is 38 and he has got 46 fights. So if he does not have a technique against Joseph Parker today, he never will. I don't think he will ever. Do you also agree that if Wilder gets his technique, his game right, and he does not just rely on one heavy right hand like you see in that sparring there, can he be unstoppable against Joseph Parker?
I think that the Fury fights showed us a lot about Deontay Wilder, and that whilst he might be a bit wild and a bit reckless at points, he's very, very good at setting up those power shots. So there is technique behind it. I don't expect him, like you said, he's at the tail end of his career. You would imagine you're not going to expect him to go in there and we see a completely new version of Wilder, like we've kind of seen with AJ over the years, where he's evolved into this new style. He's going to go out there and do what he always does. The question. The reliance is more on Joseph Parker to how he responds to that, whether he tries to take the fight to Wilder like Fury did, or whether he tries to outbox him, which is, as Fury found out, very difficult when he only needs that one shot to completely change the outcome of the fight.
Okay, let's not underrate Joseph Parker. Fury and Luis Ortiz before him were able to punch in between that swooping hooks, and they were able to wound up that right hand he's got. Parker will have the same chances today, I know for sure, but can he make the final bell, Cal?
As I said, we learned a lot about Wilder in those Fury fights, and we kind of learned that there's two ways you can beat him. You can try and be perfect for the whole fight, which is very, very difficult, or you can try and put it on Wilder and put the pressure on him and not give him the time to try and set up those huge power shots. Asking Joseph Parker to do that is a big ask because Tyson Fury took some huge shots in trying to do that. And Tyson Fury probably has, one of the best chins and the biggest hearts in that division. So asking Joseph Parker to do the same will be very difficult. I would imagine he will do the first option and try to outbox him for the duration, but we've seen it many times. Saying you're going to avoid Deontay Wilder's power and actually doing it are two huge different tasks, and saying it is far easier than actually doing it. So I think that both options are very, very tough roads for Joseph Parker. He's a very, very good boxer, but even Tyson Fury wasn't able to box Wilder for 12 rounds without getting dropped. It's almost an inevitability at this point. That's how good Deontay Wilder is at landing those shots.
Okay, for ahead of your prediction, I've got two questions for you. Are we going to see an upset in Saudi Arabia today? Will Anthony Joshua make it to his 2024 bout against Deontay Wilder for March 9th?
I'm going to lean slightly towards AJ. I think that might be, as a big AJ fan, there might be a little bit of optimism coming into that prediction, because I think that this Otto Wellen fight is really, really difficult for him, especially if he just tries to go in there and outbox Wellen like he has done to his previous few opponents. I definitely think that if we're going to get an upset, it will be that one. I'm far more confident in Wilder beating Joseph Parker than I am AJ beating Otto Wellen. But just the ability to rise to the occasion, you hope that AJ still has that part of him in him, because we've seen that throughout his career, and it maybe hasn't been there as much when the pressure isn't on. But, make no mistake about it, especially if Wilder goes out there and beats Joseph Parker in the fight before, the pressure is on AJ. He can play it down and things like that and not talk about the Wilder fight, but there's definitely some expectations he needs to live up to, and Otto Wellen is a nightmare opponent to try and do that against.
Okay, an upset maybe we predicted in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Oh, it's been an interesting conversation. I want to go on and on, but I'll wait. It's going to happen tonight, and we cannot wait to see if Anthony Joshua can get that proposed bout against Deontay Wilder for March 2024. Thank you so much. We have to speak to fight commentator Kyle Demond all the way from England. Thank you so much, Kyle, for joining us on In the Game today.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the fight.